right. I think we're live. Okay. Let's get this live stream going. Welcome back to another edition Andrew Builds Template. Okay. So I was getting everything set up. Make sure I'm good to go. All right. So last time on Tuesday, I had built a homepage for this new template. And today, my goal is to build out more of the pages that are the internal pages or secondary pages for things like services, case studies, about us, blog. So we'll see how many pages I can get done today. Gonna go, kind of just more focused on layout at first. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's go back and let's duplicate this page. I think the first one I'm gonna go for is gonna be the services page. Kind of go down the order of the navigation. Okay, and this template is not really for any particular type of company, not like an agency or anything. It's more of like a general company page. So again, these could all be used for different companies, different use cases. Keeping it kind of general and open. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this image here. Don't need the image, don't need the text. Creating a header for this top section. I'm gonna go ahead and get this out of this hero text box. Don't need that either. Okay, and let's give this some spacing. And I'm actually kind of just freestyling with this one as far as the design goes. I don't really have a design for these pages. I had a design for the home page, and I'm kind of just riffing off that and see where it takes me. So let's call this one, give it the proper header. Just go ahead and start center lining some of these text blocks since they're just text. And let's add some more spacing. So this is going to be a header I use for basically all the secondary pages. Okay, and let's see what I want to do next. So here's what I could do. So I have this block down here of services. And what I think I'm going to do is I'm actually going to reuse this for the top. And I'm going to make each of these like a clickable link to scroll down to that particular service section. So I'm basically going to take each one of these. I kind of made up just different service sections, and each one of these will basically scroll down and take you to that specific section. So let's go ahead and bring this a little bit closer. Okay. Just to give a little bit of a hint at what you can do. Okay, so let's start creating these different sections. So we'll call this first one, I'm just gonna go along with what I have, again, same order I have up here. Call this one digital. We'll call this one digital content. And let's see, now I'm gonna start laying this part out. So that's digital content. So we're gonna make this one I'm gonna go ahead and increase the width of this. Call it digital. I'm gonna go ahead and left align this section. I'm gonna copy and paste. So now I'm gonna include content below. So what I'm planning on doing is I'm basically gonna have the name of the section, have a little description underneath it, and then on the right, I'm gonna have kind of a grid of all the different services that might fall underneath this particular one. And just like a text grid. So in that case, I'm actually gonna drop a box in here. I'm gonna move this title over. Just copy and paste this content underneath the title. Oops. Left align it. Let's go ahead and select the paragraph. I don't want the large text. Change the width, get rid of the outer spacing. Let's close this gap as well, the spacing I mean. Okay, and now I'm going to put another box to the right of this one. So I want it to be to the right, and I'm gonna change the spacing here to be like, so basically 4 columns on the left and 8 columns on the right. Let's make that a little bit smaller. Okay, it's a heading 2, so that's good. I don't want that to be that size. Okay. And let's make this like 80 pixels. Have a lot of space between them. Okay, so let's think how I want to do this. Okay, just getting my thoughts down. Let's go ahead and bring that a little bit. We'll see. We'll play with it later. So I think I'm going to go ahead and copy. I'm going to add a box. I want to have these in boxes as well. Let's call this one this box digital service list. Put another box in there. Just copy and paste some of this text over. And again, this is going to be just mostly text. So I'm going for more like typography look and feel to it rather than too many images for this particular page. I'm gonna make this one a heading 3. So again, using my typography to create some hierarchy. I think the size of that text is fine. Get rid of this inner spacing. You know, I'm actually gonna add trust me, I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna add a top border to this box. Give it a little bit of top padding so we kind of separate the border from that box. And again, I'm just kind of playing around with some stuff right now. So let's take this box, copy and paste it to the right. Make sure it's inside of digital service list. And I'm gonna do it, copy and paste it again, or duplicate it again, automatically put it in the same row. And let's go ahead and give this one column gap. And let's go ahead and give some row gap too, because we're gonna have these be on different rows. And the other thing I kind of forgot to do is I want to have these be equal height boxes. Actually, you know what? Doesn't really matter at this point because I just have the border on top, so it's not like it doesn't really matter. You can't tell if there's if they're a matching height or not. And let's just remove some of this text just so it's not quite as big. And again, just kind of creating my layout here. Let's do this 3 more times, duplicate it, and then break it. And now we have our little grid here. So again, just kind of playing with some different styles, you know, trying to make it look not too different than the homepage styles, which I think, you know, it's using orange as a little bit of a pop of color and accent. And let's go ahead and increase this row gap just a little bit. Okay, let's see how the top and bottom margins. First, I always like to keep bottom margins usually a little bit bigger. Visually, it kind of looks better to me. But maybe this one I want to go equal. Okay, so that was our first section. You know what? Actually, for this one, I'm going to go with a subheader because I do want it to be a little bit bigger than what we have here. Well, you know what? Let's change our mind. Let's go back. I think that is fine. Okay. So that is the first section. I'm going to go ahead and delete this from the home page. I'm going to get rid of all of these except for the call to action down there. So we're going to just delete those. We're going to leave call to action, leave the footer. Again, created those last time so I could just reuse those. And I'm going to go ahead and just start duplicating this section because I'm really using the same layout. And all I'm going to do later on, or if you're going to come in here, is basically just copy, put in your content. So there's no need for me to think too much on this one. And I'm going to go ahead and make this one white background. So again, kind of giving some contrast and creating almost a back and forth different color pattern. So let's go and duplicate this as well. Give us one, that peach color, the beige. Duplicate it again. Give it the white. Duplicate. And peach. And duplicate. And white. So we have 6. And again, you could take out, you don't have to have 6, obviously. We can remove however many of these you want to remove or add them. But this gives you a good starting point. Let's now start putting in some of this content just to make it look more real. Hiring, consulting, analytics. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go to each of these sections and make sure they're named matching the actual title of that section. And like I said from before, is I'm going to actually link each of those icons at the top, to the top, and make them link down to their respective section below. And again, you could change these names, both in the actual title and in the actual custom name for the box itself or for the element. And now I can go here to the image. I'm going to, instead of on click open page, switch to scroll to element, and we'll pick the digital from the list. Go to strategy, do the same thing, and I can just type it in if I want to not to search for it. Like that, there we go. Very easy to add a nice automatic scroll effect. And it has a nice animation to it. So yeah, kind of gives people an extra way to browse your page and go straight to the content they're trying to get to. So again, that easy to name your box, name your element. And again, this doesn't apply just to boxes. You can actually give a name to any element on the page. So you can give a name to an actual image or a piece of text, and you can have a button or a image or the navigation bar, scroll down right to it. All right, so, ooh, you know what I did? I definitely messed up a little bit. I kind of forgot my own advice of basically making sure one section is done first. So I'm gonna have to pay the price here. So I'm gonna switch to tablet, and we're gonna see that some of these are gonna start not working out quite as well. Yep, definitely didn't listen to my own advice from a few, a couple live streams ago. Let's see, so I don't think I gave this one a size. They're the same size, don't really want that. I want our heading 2s to be obviously bigger than our heading 3s. Let's see, let me go back to the home page and make sure I actually, no, I did actually go through. Yeah, I went through and actually did make sure it was all responsive. That's okay. You know what, I think it's actually gonna be a lot faster to do one section and then just duplicate again, because I think it's gonna take me longer to have to click through each one. So obviously these styles are already set because I had done this, you know, with these are like the styles already set from where I copied it from. So that's why we're getting a lot of these kind of styles carrying over. Okay. Let me actually hop over to the homepage, make sure I'm not gonna mess up any of my H3s that I was using. So that's an H2. Actually, I don't think I even have any H3s applied. I have this one actually. Ah, there we go. So that is an H3. You know what? I'm gonna make this one an H2 then. Yeah, well, that's better. Okay. If I really wanted to, I guess I could go ahead and make this smaller just for this one section, if that's what I was going for. So we can do that. Okay, let's go back to our services page. Switch back to tablet. And let's go ahead and make this one smaller, because this one's already 28. This one is 40. And I haven't forgotten, I need to go back up here and fix the spacing around there. But let's just take care of this section first. Okay, just switching back and forth, make sure they're let's make these 22. How about that? And let's go ahead and update the typography here, and that way it'll update it really quickly amongst all of those. So that is good. Makes it a little bit faster. Let's change the spacing a little bit for tablet. Okay, let's decrease the row gap just a little bit as well. Okay. Keep going back and forth. I want this to be the subheader or not. I think I kind of do actually. I just want to be, yeah, I want to be a little different than the actual text, especially in tablet mode. Definitely like it to be a little bit bigger, so that's a little better. Okay, so I think that's better. Let's at least, and I'll switch over to mobile and make sure it looks good there. I'll have to make some changes. Let's go ahead and just make sure these their own row. Change the row gap a good bit. Don't need all that. And actually I need to go through and clear out a lot of these values because, again, they're taking them from the previous use from where I grabbed them from, but I need them to be more for this specific use case. Okay, and then we need to make this one smaller as well. What do I have for that? 24. Okay, and let's update this typography, and you'll see it also update down below. So that makes it nice and easy. And let's close that gap a little bit. Okay. Alrighty, so this section is a little better now. At least it's been tweaked for tablet. And now I can go back, and sad to say, but I'm gonna need to delete all these sections I added. That's okay. Won't take me as long, I don't think, to hook them up. It'll take me a lot longer to have just repeated everything I just did. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate 5 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now we have 6 sections. Let's start changing our colors back to what they were before. I believe this one was strategy. Counting. And there I was thinking that I'd knock this page out in record time. Still not too bad. And give accounting the beige background. I think hiring was next. Give it a white background first. Double click to switch to text mode. Double click back to select the box. Call it hiring. And I think the last 2 are consulting and analytics. Okay, not too bad. And now we just have to go back up to these image links. Okay, you know what? Actually, it looks like because I had them in there before. Actually, no, I think just digital, because that one I had. So, yep. So now we need to go back and add these because I removed them. So now I'm just quickly re-adding them. Okay. So, okay, there we go. Not too bad. Again, I would definitely recommend if you're creating these kind of layouts and more like nested layouts, I would definitely recommend make sure they look good in tablet and mobile first. So you don't have to go through and repeat them over and over. Eventually, we're going to have our global elements feature, or you may call them symbols or components in different products you've used, but we're going to have that feature which will allow you to kind of make each one of these a single global element that we could repeat for each of these sections on here. So once we have that feature, it'll be much easier to make those updates and not have to delete and then reduplicate everything. I know Miguel's working very hard at the moment, literally as I'm working on this. He is creating that feature, so I'm excited to see it come to fruition. Okay. So I say this page is now done. And actually, let me go back up. Forgot I need to fix the spacing on here. Let's see what I did there. I actually put it on the wrong box for my own personal taste. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove the inner padding there. Then on here, let's put it, usually where I put it on that outermost box. That's where I prefer to put all my padding in general. Okay, it's a little better. Now I think I'm actually gonna put these back on one row for tablet. Increase that spacing. And then on mobile, I think I'm gonna go 3 to a row. So look just like that. And then let's fix our spacing here. Okay, looks good. There we go. So now looks pretty good. And here's a little tip as well. So, you know, on each one of these I have 6 services, right? You might have a different number like 4 or 5, or just 3. But again, these are more for the kind of non-multiples of 3. So if you had 5 services, for example, here's what I might do, and here's what you can do, is that you can actually go ahead and delete that content and go ahead and remove any styles you might have on that box, and then just hide the placeholder. So basically I'm using the box as kind of like an empty placeholder. That's definitely going to be the easiest way to fill that gap and make sure it knows there's another column there. So that is definitely something I would recommend doing if you need to have a different number that might not fit exactly into a column of 3. All right, let's say this page is a wrap, and let's move on to the next one. So the next one is case studies. Okay. And for anyone watching on YouTube, if you want to join us on Discord, I'm hanging out on Discord, streaming live from there, so you can chat with me there. You can also ask questions via our chat channel. So if you don't want to speak out loud, you can always just write us questions or message us with anything you'd like to ask for Makeswift or about Makeswift. All right, let me hop over. We have a customer request. Give me 1 second. We wear many hats here at Makeswift, so I'm also doing customer support while I design and live stream. So 1 second. Give me 1 second, just helping out one of our early customers we've had for a long time. I want to make sure I'm prompt with my support. Okay, back to the live stream. I think they're good. Okay, so case studies. So let's hop back to the page settings, and I am going to again duplicate. I think I'm going to go and duplicate this page. It's probably the simplest one to work with at the moment. So let's duplicate it, call it case studies, give it the URL. And let's go in and start tweaking it for our case studies. So first thing we do is get rid of the services list. Don't need that. Can get rid of this spacing below the text. Let's get rid of the copy there. That might be confusing. Okay. And now I'm going to go start deleting these sections here. Again, just leaving the call to action and leaving the footer. Second, back to the support. Okay, so for case studies, let me think about how I want to design this. Go ahead and get rid of some of these boxes here. I don't need all these to be right there. I think I'll go ahead and leave this as a box. And I think what I might do, actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go ahead and go back to the home page, and I am actually gonna grab a section that I created down here, and this, I think, will give me at least a better start. That's a little bit of a big space. I'm just kind of seeing that, just fixing that a little bit. Okay. Sorry, hopping back and forth between support and working on this template. Okay. Chatting on support and also getting customer feedback. So definitely one thing we're trying to do a lot right now to get as much feedback as we can. Okay, so thinking which of these, yeah, so I think I'm gonna take this section here. I'm going to copy it, hop back to our case studies page. I'm actually going to delete this one and paste this right into there. So we'll call this one case studies. Put a hyphen between. And let's see. Let's just start putting in some content here. We'll say this is like the service name or service done. And we'll even leave it as, we'll leave a learn more button there. Gonna remove that image. Let's probably maximize that width. Don't need it to be shorter than that. And so this is all wrapped in a box already, which is good. So actually, let's change the name of this too. Can actually delete this one. This one, case study 1. And let's put the image to the left of case study 1, on the left side of it. I mean, not basically to the left of this box here. And let's make the case study image much bigger. And actually I want the text, I think, to be, gonna try doing bottom aligned. So I want the actual, this box to be bottom aligned with this image. So that's pretty easy. Let's go ahead and add some space back in there to the bottom. Let's close this gap a little. Okay, now first thing I'm gonna do before I start copying and pasting all this stuff is I'm going to make sure it looks good on tablet and mobile. Okay, so we can start to see it looks a little bit strange or not as ideal on tablet. But what I could do is I think I want to leave it like, I don't want to have it to be underneath it yet. I'm going to save that for mobile. So what I think I'd like to maybe do for tablet is maybe have it be top aligned. That doesn't bother me as much. And I can bring that a little bit closer together even. Close the gap, the actual gap. And let's just close that gap too, close that spacing. Okay, and then on mobile, then we'll actually take that and make sure it's underneath. Let's see, don't need the spacing on that button. Let's go ahead and make it smaller too. And let's add some spacing below the image. Okay, so it's tweaking it. It's a little too much, I'd say. Okay, that looks pretty good. And let's add that spacing down to the bottom. So again, quickly hopping to mobile. Don't need this spacing below that, okay. Okay, so let's switch back to desktop, and now I'm going to duplicate the case study, and because the box that I was using it in already had some row gap to it, so I've got my row gap already set, so that works. And I think I'm gonna go with kind of a simple layout here, where instead of like alternating sides and directions of the image, I think I'm gonna kind of keep them on top of each other like that. So I think I kind of prefer that for this particular section rather than alternating like I have done for the other content sections. But you know what? I might actually go ahead and make this. So this is 1000 pixels, and I believe for my homepage for some of these sections, I kind of alternate my widths, but for my homepage hero section, let me find the right box. So for hero content, I actually use 1140. So I'm gonna go ahead and make that a little bit bigger, I think. Let's try that out and see what 1140 looks like. Okay, let's finish up this feedback session. Okay. All right, so where was that? I was about to hop back into case studies. I was gonna try making this section, the content right here. Let's try making 1140. Okay, didn't change too much, but it does make the image a little bit bigger, which I think is kind of nice. I'm just curious what it looks like if we go back to the top. That looks pretty good too. Again, just playing around with it. It's a little more interesting at the bottom maybe. Just to be different, why not? Let's go ahead and add maybe one more. And again, if you need to add more case studies, you definitely just Command D that and add more or remove them. And if we look back at our tablet, let's see, maybe there should be center aligned. What about that? I like it on the top better. Okay, we have a row gap already set at 80. Okay, so desktop looks pretty good, and mobile looks pretty good as well. I'm gonna go ahead and remove some of that row gap. It's a little bit too much. Okay. All right, so that is the case studies list view. And now I'm actually gonna create, I'm gonna create an actual case studies page. So I'm gonna add kind of a new template page in here that I haven't really done yet for my last few live streams. But let's add a case studies page that's specific just to like one client. So again, let's duplicate. Case studies, call it detail. And this is more of like an actual template that you can use and reuse multiple times. So we'll call this one client name. Let's do this. Let's go ahead and copy this button. Let's put it above client name. I'm going to go ahead and use a clear style button. Keep that orange text. Let's see, back to case studies. Let's make it a little bit smaller. And then you could basically just pick your link for your case studies page out of here. There we go. Just had to refresh to get those pages to show up there. And I'm going to center align. Yeah, I'm going to go and center align the button. So I'm just going to drag it to the center, add some bottom spacing. Let's close this gap above it a little bit. Okay. Let's see. Okay, and I think the next thing I might want to do is add kind of like maybe some information about the client, but I might want to do it in a separate column, maybe. So what I might do, yeah, you know what? Let's do this. Let's go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and delete these other case studies I have here because we're not really using this as a case study anymore. Let's just call this one case study content, or actually case study. Let's do that. And call the actual, call this one case study content. And let's see, let me think about how I want to do this next. So I have this image here. Okay, so you know what? I'm actually going to leave this box. Let's call this one client info. And I'm going to drop another box to the left. Put the image in there. Get rid of this spacing. Let's call this one, I guess, case study text. And I'm going to get rid of the alignment. Don't want to be at the bottom anymore. Get rid of the button. Let's get rid of this. Let's see. I'm going to get rid of that. Let's change the column distribution here. Yeah, we'll go for a little bit of a larger, it's actually larger left column, but I'm going to shrink this entire you know what? I'm going to get rid of, put this outside of that box. There we go. Don't need this box. Okay. So I'm basically just cleaning out my boxes here. Close the row gap a little bit, or the column gap. Probably can get rid of the row gap. I don't think I'm going to be stacking anything else at the moment. And you know what, now that I think about it, I need this client info to be on the left because when I break this on mobile or tablet, whichever we feel like is going to come first, I do want it to be first on the page. So I don't want it to be all the way at the bottom. Seems a little pointless to have kind of like a general highlight of your client to be all the way at the bottom. Okay, and now I'm going to take the content here and let's try making 1,000. So I don't want like a huge content area because that can be a little daunting to read sometimes. Okay. So now we can start adding just some text on the right side. I'll work on that first. Make it full width. Give that a paragraph. So add some spacing below the image, so everything's always going to have a little bit of spacing below it. You know what, I'm going to use some good old-fashioned lorem ipsum here so I can get some larger paragraphs. Okay. We can put some more images down below. We can even copy and paste them, put them next to each other. Add some row gap or column gap there. So again, it's kind of creating just some sort of layout that people can just plug their content into. If you wanted to add some visual interest, you could even take this content and maybe make it a little bit less wide so it kind of doesn't quite match up with the image, but for now I'm gonna go ahead and make it just 100% width. There's a little more space. Let's make it a little more gap between them. Let's see, okay. Let's just copy and paste this one right below the text. Again, as you see, I'm just kind of creating my own little grid here. You'll see all these different dashed lines. Just changing up the text a little bit to make it look a little bit different. Okay. Let's actually increase that back again. All right. And just to give, I don't know, add another component here, I'm gonna create a block quote. I'm actually gonna pull it from my home page because I used something already kind of similar to that. So we could just copy this whole section, that could work as well, but I think I'm just gonna make the quote itself. And I'm gonna grab this text box. Let's go back to the details. I'm gonna paste it in below the text. Let's change the color first so we can see it. I'm gonna make it orange just to use our color or make it pop a little bit more. Let's make this one, let's see. Let's go and use our default styles here for the subheader. Let's actually make this a paragraph. And I am going to remove the left and the right spacing. I'm going to add that orange border that we used in our services page, just to reuse some of those styles. Let's make sure the widths are full. Okay. Looks pretty good. What if I play around with making it smaller? And for this one, I might want to add a little more space, but I'll add the space on top of this just to make sure that's a little different. Okay. Yeah. So that's again something, just another component that you can work with. Let's bring that a little bit closer. Let's go ahead and give this a typography style because we might want to use this again for if you're having multiple case study pages. So we'll call this one block quote. Because again, you might want to reuse this on multiple pages, and therefore you want to make sure you have it more easily changeable. Okay. So I'm not gonna worry about checking this on tablet and mobile just yet because I'm not really repeating anything, so I think it's okay. Won't run into that same issue I ran into with the services page. You know what I might do instead of doing the border on here? Yeah, why not? Let's do something a little bit different since we haven't used it yet. Let's use the divider component. Let's drop that in there. And let's give that the orange with the 3. You don't have quite the same level of, you have a little bit of space that kind of gets, it's a little bit harder to change, but I think for this purpose, yeah, it actually works. And that way you can kind of select it as a separate component. Yeah, so that works. All right. Okay, let's go back up to our, kind of like our highlight column for this particular client. Let's see, so things that we might put here, we might say like location. Let's go ahead and give some love to our hometown here. Oops. Let's go ahead and start duplicating these. Size. Just making up some information here. Again, this is all stuff that you can kind of just change on your own. Kind of copy and paste, keep repeating this a little bit. What's some other things you might say there? Industry, say automotive. Let's just do maybe one more. Let's see, what else would you do here? Let's see, let's look up a local branding company we got here. See what they've done for their work. Let's see if they have one of these sidebars. I'm sure they do. I feel like most case study pages do have this. Looks like this one might not have it. So this one's a little different. Let's see, let's go to a bigger agency. See if they've got it listed here under their work. That's not what I wanted. Here we go. No, looks like just a few things. Okay, all good. We'll just make it up then. Okay, maybe the last thing we could do if we wanted was we could add a button. Make it full width. Let's use the kind of secondary button styles I've created before. So use site, make it a lot smaller. Yeah, so there we go. That works. Maybe instead of that, maybe we just do auto width and just left align it. Let's see, let's make it a little bit bigger. Okay. All right, so that is the desktop view for this case study detail page. All right, let's switch over to tablet, see what it looks like. Okay, not too bad. Change column gap. Don't need the row gap at the moment. Let's bring this closer. Okay, so still using the subheader there, which is fine. Okay, let's make this the same that we were using on desktop, so clearing out those styles because it was being used from the home page. We can remove some of this spacing. Looks like some of the text still being set for there, so let's see, how big do I have this on desktop? I had a 24, okay. You know, I'm a little bit OCD, so let's actually, I don't want this one word sticking out. Let's just go ahead and delete that word. Even though it's going to change on different devices, but still. Let's go ahead and make this line height a little bit bigger as well. I'm going to go ahead and make it 22. Update the block quote. Bring that together a little bit more. Okay. You know what, I should probably go ahead and create a, I feel like I'm using the orange a lot. So I feel like I should go ahead and create a subheader orange. Right, a subheader, let's call it accent. That way if you change your color and you want to use orange, it won't be as confusing. We'll call it subheader accent. Let's switch this to tablet. Now I'm gonna need to go through my pages now and update that, but that is okay. So let's go ahead and update to make sure that tablet includes it. Okay, now let's go back to desktop. Go ahead and call this one subheader accent. And luckily, a little trick I learned not too long ago is you actually don't even have to select all the text. You can just actually select or put your mouse cursor within the text, and it's going to kind of apply it to the whole block. So it's kind of an easier way instead of having to like double click or drag and click. And you know what, these are not even H2s. So now I see that I'm going to get rid of the H2s there. I would call them just regular paragraphs. Okay. So go back to mobile and let's break up now these two columns. Go ahead and close that gap a little bit. So 40. Okay. There we go. Bring that together more. Okay, let's make sure this button is using the correct spacing it needs. There we go. Just make sure I cleared the overrides for that particular one. That's what happens when you reuse buttons and text and other elements sometimes. Okay, so this looks good on tablet. I wonder if I should bring that over. That also works. You don't need quite so much column gap. Okay. Yeah, that way the button is not getting squished. I guess that actually works too. Okay. You can play around with that depending on the size of your content on the left. You might want to change it, but that works for me. All right. Okay, and with that page being done, I'm going to go ahead and create or take a short break. Be back in 10 minutes to create a few more pages. So stick with us, and if you want, again, join on Discord. Don't mean to sound like a broken record, but if you want to ask us questions directly or learn more about Makeswift and how to start using it or get an access code or an invite code, just ask us and we'll gladly get you in the product. Would love for anyone to get in there, give us some early feedback. So just let us know. All right, be back shortly. Okay, I am back. Get my headphones on. All right, so we just finished creating a few pages. Let's go ahead and create a few more. Finish out the hour. Okay, so let's see what we have for our up in our navigation. I think we have about us and we have blog. So yeah, let's go ahead and do the about us page. I'm gonna go ahead and use the case studies page. One of the simpler ones so far. And oops, I meant to duplicate it. Okay, let's go into the page. And let's just delete some of this content here. Okay, let me show not too many boxes. Okay, perfect. I got about and about us, or about content. Okay, so let me just think about this one. What I want to do here. Okay. Oh yeah, I also have a contact page to do. So we'll also need to do the contact page. So for this next section, thinking about maybe throw in a video. Yeah, let's do that. Let's drop a video component in there. Make it kind of big. And I actually have kind of a background. A stock video I found on a stock video site called Makeswift. I'm gonna grab that really quickly. Just drop in there. Okay. And you know what, I'm actually gonna do a little trick that people have been asking about. So I'm gonna make this one look like it's overlapping the video itself and make it look like it's overlapping the blue and the white. So to achieve that effect, first thing I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna go ahead and remove the, first I select this actual, let's call this about video for this section then now. And I'm going to remove the top and bottom interspacing. Move it all the way. And now to achieve that trick, I'm actually going to add a gradient. And we're going to use that gradient to make it look like it's overlapping. Oops, not color. Make sure I choose gradient. So I have two colors to choose from. And now I'm going to choose the blue on the top, which is good. And then for the bottom color, I'm going to choose white, which is already there. And I'm going to bring it to 100% opacity. And now I'm going to take the color stops and bring them to 50% exactly. So then when I do that, this happens sometimes, where it wants to switch them. Actually, you know what? Let me do this. Let's do the blue one first, and then do the white one. Yep, keeps wanting to switch them. Okay, you know what? Let's just switch the direction. There we go. Problem solved. Okay, and then now basically what happens is when I go ahead and add or have another content area down here, let's go ahead and just remove this background, remove the video. When I add my content padding back here, you'll see that now you can kind of see what it looks like. With that video right there on top. So again, you can do this with a video, make image, any content that goes, you can just create that background gradient, make it a hard line using the gradients, and that's how you create that overlap. Okay, so let's see, for this next section, I'm going to make kind of like a stats section. So I've done this before on other templates, so I'm going to do something kind of similar to that. Okay. So I have the stats content box ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and drop another box in there. And I want this one to be by one of my stats. So let's call this one stat 1. Let's remove the interspacing for now. And let's drop in some content. So I'm just gonna copy this, paste it in there. And then I will copy this other piece of text and paste that in there. Let's give this a number, just kind of like a random number for now. Let's give it that orange color. I think I want this to be the paragraph. And let's remove some of that spacing below. And I'm gonna make the width full width because I don't need to be like shorter than that. Just get rid of the outer spacing completely. Okay. And I think the next thing I'd like to do is actually I want to go ahead and kind of bring back that same top border that we used for the services page. Gonna add that. Might take it away, I'm not so sure if I'm gonna like it yet, but let's go ahead and copy and paste this. And see how it looks. Now duplicate. Let's see, looks okay. You know what we could try? Let's try this. Let's bring that back. Get rid of that blue border. I'm just undoing. Or that orange border, I mean. Okay, so we're back to the start. So what I'm going to do, let's duplicate it so it's down below. Let's get rid of any column gap. Let's drop this row gap by a lot. Let's close this up a little bit. What happens if I bring this next to the video? Let's make this a lot smaller. Let's go with 1,000. Don't need that much column gap. This could be much smaller as well. Maybe kind of completely get rid of column gaps. I want it to be kind of, actually, yeah, that's fine, that works. Let's see, just trying stuff out. If I have 4 of these, okay. Let's actually center align that content. There we go. Now it's a little better with the line there. Okay, that's interesting. I'll keep that for now. And obviously for tablet, I'll probably go ahead and they'll be broken. Just make that full width. There we go. Now let's increase that column gap again, just to ensure it never actually touches the stats. Okay, so that worked. A little different, but I think that could do the job. Okay, let's draw up a box in here. Do 1140. We'll make this one team box. And first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this text, paste it in. Make an H2, make it a heading 2. And I'm going to go ahead and drop another box in here. Call this one team list. Then I'm gonna drag one more box in here. And this will be our first actual team member. So, there we go. And just so I can kind of get a idea for the grid, or what it'll look like with just one team member in there, or or 4 columns in there. I mean, I'm gonna go ahead and copy and paste this a couple of times, just as empty box. And let's select the list. Let's add some column gap. We're gonna do a little bit tighter this time. And add some row gap. And we'll see that row gap once we start repeating that, the members down. All right, now we can start adding content into our first box. Let's add an image, make sure it's full width. Add some bottom spacing there. Go ahead and put an image in there, why not? So this is for tandem. I'm gonna go ahead and create a new folder. Call it team. Let's go ahead and upload our images. There we go. Let's go ahead and pick the first guy here. Okay. Now let's add some text. So copy and paste this one below. Go ahead and get rid of some of these styles that are already here. We'll call them Dave Green. And we'll make sure he's an H3. We'll make sure he's a heading 3 as well, which makes it a lot smaller. And I'm going to left align this information. Let's bring the name a little bit closer to the photo. Okay. And now let's grab this text. I'm going to paste that underneath his name. Let's left align it, leave it as a paragraph, and I'm going to actually select the paragraph style. And let's say that he is a designer. Oops. Okay. So that is one person added there. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and delete those other boxes, and let's just start duplicating this box. Readjust these, fix them. Okay, there we go. And before I continue, let me switch over. Okay, so I'm not worried about this other stuff right now. I know I'll come back to fix that. I'm just making sure that looks good on tablet, which I think looks fine. Okay, back to desktop. And let's now keep repeating this box and just create a second row here. Okay. You know what I might do? I might want to go ahead and give him, or give the name, maybe a little color, just to kind of help separate it out some. And again, I can actually just place my cursor in there. That should work. Yes, that works. Now let me check this on tablet. Make sure it's carrying over. Okay, looks good, looks good. Okay, so now I'm going to take that box, duplicate it 4 times. And now we've got our grid for our team. All right, now we're in here. Might as well just replace this with some of the other people. These people are going to look pretty familiar to you. Been using them for pretty much all the templates, which is just fine because hopefully you are changing out your pictures anyway. I would hope you're not using all of our content as it is. That'd be kind of weird. It's like buying a photo frame in the store and not actually changing out the photo, which would be kind of weird. All right, last guy here. There we go. And I'll worry about those names later because that obviously takes a little more time as well to make up those names or to find them. Okay. So we've got the team. And one thing I'm going to bring back is I want to actually bring back from the homepage the companies that have worked with this team and with this company. So I'm just going to go and copy this section. Again, reusing what I've made before. And I'm going to paste this down below. And just for the sake of adding a different background color, let's go and make this the beige. And let's add background to it, or some spacing that is. Okay. So we've got that section, the team, some information about them. All right. This page, okay, now time to make sure it looks good on all other devices. Okay, so let's switch to tablet. So far, not great, but that's okay. We're gonna split this. Let's have the video on top. And now for each one of these stats, let's go ahead and put them in one row. Let's go ahead and use the video. I'm gonna use the spacing for that. And you see like this, you know, the line that cuts between the video. I can actually make that a little bit even more in the middle. It's not gonna be directly in the center, but I'm honestly okay with that. I'm not trying to make it perfectly in the center for tablet. Obviously easier to do that when the video is a full height, but that's okay. Don't really need to make it perfect. Let's clear out some of these values that we have in our panels on the right. Don't need them all like that. And let's see. So if I look on desktop, I'm just let's go to the content mode. Let's go ahead and create another style, another typography style, because I want these to be a little bit different. Let's call these numbers, or say number. Switch back to tablet. I want to keep these larger, so I have them on desktop. You know, I might even make these larger on desktop just so I can utilize that space. But actually, let me do this. Let me make sure I have all these now as number. And now I can just go and update, make sure it's at 48, not 47. 47 would be a very silly number. Let's update them. Okay, there we go. So now all the numbers have increased. Let's get rid of the plus. Kind of throws it off visually. And let's, yeah, I think that's fine. 3 offices. Okay, let's switch back to tablet. Let's make these large again. Again, just so I can now update and see it applied to all the other ones. That works. Let's actually close this gap even a little bit more. Okay, honestly, I think the team looks not too bad as it is. Oops, maybe not. Let's go ahead and make this one just 80. Same as the other. Actually, no, it's 70 is probably better. Yeah, I think the team actually looks not too bad. Let's actually go ahead and remove this inner spacing that I had there. Let's close. I wonder what it would look like if we even make it a little bit smaller. We'll have to get like really tight. Maybe a little too much. Okay. All right. Then on mobile, bring these up. Actually, you know what? Let's use that. Actually, change my mind. Let's close that one up. Excuse me. Let's get rid of this row gap. And just to ensure these stats will always have plenty of space. Let's see. I'll leave them as is, I think. I'll go ahead and increase the font size of each of these. Yeah, I need to do it in one place. And you know what? These are not H2s. They're just regular paragraphs in my opinion, so let's go ahead and clear those out as well. Don't need to be confusing Google. Okay. There we go. Now we saw that line going behind the video, so it looks pretty good still. Now for the team, now let's start breaking these up a little bit. See if I just break these up in rows of 2. I think that could work. Obviously for some mobile devices that might be a little small, but I think it's okay. I mean obviously they have longer names. They'll just kind of break down to the next line. And then for who we work with, let's add spacing to the top. Okay. Looks good on mobile. Switch back to desktop. So tablet looks good and desktop looks good. Okay, that takes care of the About Us page. And I think what I'm going to do now, really quickly, is create the contact page, because I haven't created one of those yet for a live stream. So let's create a contact page. Let's see, which page do I want to use? I think I'll just probably go ahead and use not About Us page, case studies page. Yeah, this one's pretty straightforward. Okay, let's duplicate this, call it contact. And for this site template, all of our main call to actions are driving people to this one page. So you could say this is kind of the most important page for the site, aside from the home page. Contact us. And let me think. Let's go ahead and start removing some things first. Okay, start from nothing. I'm actually not going to need this section down here because it'd be a little redundant since we're on the contact page. So let's see. I know we definitely want the contact form. So we're for sure gonna have the form. All right, sorry, call you later. One second. Okay, so just give me a second to think through how I want to have this page set up. Okay, let's do this. I'm gonna do something, actually, I'm gonna go back to the About page. I'm gonna grab this section with the video. Gonna copy and paste that. I want to do a similar kind of like overlapping effect with the contact form. Let's go back to contact. Let's paste that in right between. Gonna get rid of the stats. Don't want that. Don't need the video. But I do want that box. So I'm gonna leave the box there. So let's call this one form. And we'll say form container. And let's give this one, let's give it a background color. Let's see, do I want to give it orange? I think I want to kind of keep it light. That's why I give it that color. Let's find out. Let's add some interspacing. Make it much smaller. So it'll be right in the center of the page. Let's do 600 pixels wide. And let's go ahead and drop a form in there. All right, and so the way forms work in Makeswift is when you add your form, it's not connected to anything, so you're not gonna see any fields in there. So first thing we need to do is select a table. And I'm gonna go ahead and use this contact form table that I've already created. It has a lot of standard things in here. I'm actually gonna go and get rid of this name field because we have first name and last name. Let's move company up to above message. And I'm gonna go ahead and start bringing some of these fields onto the same row. That way it's making our form a little bit smaller. And we can change the layout a little bit. And now let's go ahead and I think the size of the form fields looks pretty good. Don't need to go extra big for this particular one since there's more form fields to have in the first place. For the label style, let's go ahead and choose Work Sans. Actually, while I'm here, since we're not using Troche anymore, we're using Playfair, let's go ahead and get rid of that other font so I don't forget it in there and not include it while your pages are being served up. Okay, there we go. So should help pages load a little bit faster. Oops, didn't do that one. So we're changing the label styles. Let's make them 14, 16 now, 14 is good. Let's make it kind of a transparent black a little bit. For the button, let's go ahead and make the button our orange. Make it white. Use the same Work Sans, regular. This one I'll make a little bit bigger. And let's go ahead and align it to the left. Let's see. You know, the button's a little bit large text-wise, so let's bring it back to 14. You know what? I want it to be center, change my mind, and let's make the button width, I'm just gonna choose a percentage, just to make it a little bit bigger, take up more space visually. Okay. So there's our contact form. Just curious how I make this white. What kind of effect will that give us? Okay, I'll leave that as it is for now. Let's bring that closer. And now for the next part, I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to actually go back to our About page. I'm going to grab this team section. And what I'm going to do is this will be for our locations. So we've said that we have 3 locations. Again, it's for a fictional company, so anything I say goes. And I'm going to paste that between the footer and the contact form and call it locations. And now we can start deleting some of these boxes. Come on. There we go. And let's delete one more so we have a nice even 3 boxes. And I'm gonna leave these here for now just to take up the space. I'm gonna delete the image. I'm gonna drop an embed into here. And this embed is gonna have a map. And we're gonna go ahead and embed an actual map. So we'll say Atlanta. Let's go up with the address. We'll make up a fake one. 1234 Main Street. Let's see. You know, I might change it a little bit and actually put in contact information or something like that, but for the time being, that works for me. And let's go ahead and hop into Google Maps. And let's just grab an address. Let's use our friends at Switchyards here. This is where we used to have an office. And I'm going to share this. I'm going to embed the map. So I want to grab this and I want to copy this HTML. And I'm going to go back to Makeswift. I'm going to paste that into this map here. And what I need to do is I need to adjust some of these numbers. I need to make it be 100% width, not actually bust out with a set number. And for height, I'll just make it 250. Let's make it 300. Actually, you know what? 250 is good. Okay. So now I'm going to delete these. Let's take this. Oops, actually, let's change the name first. Okay, and now let's take that and duplicate it and remove that. Okay, so there we go. So let's kind of close this up a little bit. Now let me see if we have more. Let's just say make up a few other places. New York. New York, I believe their zip codes are like this. And we'll say Washington, DC, because I used to live there as well. Washington, DC, and I can't remember exactly what their zip codes are like, but I think it was something like that as well. And I'm gonna create a little more column gap here because it looks like the maps are kind of, I don't know, they need a little more space, it feels like to me. And let's, you know what I might do, because if I want to have the separation between the footer, I might actually make this content. Let's give it that beige background color. And let's, instead of white, let's give this one the beige as well. And then let's make the form white color. So we're changing our colors a little bit, but I think that's okay. That way we have a little bit of that contrast between the locations and the footer, which maybe we don't even need that. Maybe that's fine the way it was. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna go back. Yeah, I like it better when it was just white. Okay. I think it's okay. Have that space, or have that, this be the only page that has no call to action there. All right, so we've added the locations. Let's give this a little more space. Let's switch to tablet, make sure it looks good there. Increase that space again. Bring that a little closer to the footer. Hop over to mobile. And luckily, because we already stacked it on our about page, it's actually already stacked here. So that's nice, don't have to do as much work. Yeah, the stacking looks pretty good. Okay. I might remove some of the gap and some of this inner spacing just a little bit, make those fields a little bit larger. And let's remove that spacing there. Don't need it to be that big. Let's go and remove that as well a little bit. Probably should have done that for most of my pages, but it's okay. Okay, and there's the contact page. Obviously, we would have different maps in here for different locations. But I think that works for the time being to show you what it would look like. Okay, so that's the contact page. Again, let me just check it out on the different device modes. I'm just closing up the spacing a little bit. All right, looks good on all these devices. So that is the contact page. So now when people go to your site, if you want them to reach out to you, you'll actually need to create your own table. It'll give you a warning that you won't have it connected to a table in your workspace, so make sure you do that, and then you're good to go. So thank you again for joining us on another live stream, building out another template, and we will have this template in our Makeswift library very shortly after I add in more content and finish it up, maybe add a few more pages over the next couple days. And be sure to join us on Tuesday for what will be another new site template that I'll be building from scratch right in front of you. So thanks again, and join our Discord server if you want to chat with us or ask any questions or hang out with us. And I'll see you guys on Tuesday.